It is Virat Kohli's 35th birthday and India is celebrating. The former Indian captain has brought up the record equaling 49th ODI 100 that we all had been waiting for. India have battled their way to 326 for 5 against South Africa in this top of the table clash of the ICC World Cup. That game coming to you from Kolkata, the iconic Eden Gardens, witnessing a Kohli masterclass. Dav Whatmore, Sri Lanka's 1996 World Cup winning coach and someone who saw Virat Kohli break through international cricket, is the right man to have with me. Dav, we have to start with the birthday boy. And what a century.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I know this is not the final. I know that he battled to get 101, but to me, this would have to be one of his better ones in all of those 49. Honestly, it was a really tough wicket to bat on, and he was a masterclass in showing how to spend time against some pretty decent bowling, weather the storm, pick up your fours when it came along, and just keep accumulating ones and twos, running hard. All those things were on show today. For me, it would have been one of his much better ones in his 49.
Yes, and we usually remember a Kohli 100 for the way he sort of starts out and then catches up towards the end. But as Dav has been saying to us as well when we were sitting and watching the game, this is a very difficult wicket. Let's go full frame to that graphics on our screen. The graphics for the most international centuries. Look closely at the ODI format. 49 Tendulkar, 49 Virat Kohli. He missed out in the last couple of games, got a 80 against Sri Lanka. There was a 95 there as well against New Zealand, but it's over. The wait is over. For Indian cricket fans, just put this in context, because we saw those phones out, everyone waiting for the moment, and a very subdued celebration from Virat Kohli as well, because does that tell you the grind that it was today?
Perhaps so, but I think underneath it all, you know, he understands that that it was a hard-fought one, and it's just another 100 along the way, some runs along the way. What will count, of course, is when they play on the the 19th of November. That's the big day, and if he gets three figures there, then I'm sure the celebration will be a little bit better than this. But really, he would have been tired for sure. I mean, he did a lot of running, and all of this was done on a special 35th birthday.
Yes, we in fact brought it up in our pre-show. But just talking about the innings, I'm just going to look at some of his numbers. 101 runs of 121 balls.
What does that say?
Yes, and 10 fours and no sixes. And there was a point there when we felt he was getting frustrated, especially with Tabrez Shamsi sort of bowling over the wicket into the pads and trying to frustrate him. And it's important that he didn't lose focus. They also perhaps recalibrated that they had a great start, but for him, it was about staying till the end, because all the new batters who were coming in was struggling on this wicket.
Well, that's right. Any new batsman coming in, was always going to find it difficult to settle in, unless you're coming right at the end like Jadeja did and throwing the bat, and he did it very well. But yes, you're right. It was if you expose the new batsman too early, then he would take a lot of time settling in, and that would use up valuable balls. So once you're set, at the old adage, you make the most of it. Today, Virat Kohli did that, but because of the difficulty of the pitch, after 121 balls, who would ever think you only get 100?
We're more used to seeing him chase down a big score, 180 of 130, 40 balls. He always sort of seems to catch up. His strike rate is always in the high 90s, or even at better than a runner ball. What does this tell you about the caliber of the batter as well? Because he knows the occasion, it's his birthday, everyone's come there to watch a Kohli 100, and India were off to a blazing start. Let's not forget that context as well, blazing start. But then suddenly, from overs 11 to 20, they could hardly get a run.
That's right. So it wasn't so much. I think the occasion, apart from his birthday, I don't think that figures in his mind too much. This was another one-day international, a World Cup game, and it was billed as the game of two giants. So that
Super
was,
Sunday clash, the
that
top
was
table clash.
Very important, for India to win, whether it's Virat getting 100 or somebody else getting 100. It was his day today, and the fact that he had to graft. Not many players would have done that, and that's the beauty and the toughness of the guy. I'm very happy for him, very proud of him, what he's done today, and I feel sure that he would rate that pretty high up.
Yes, you've been mentioning that, and the reason why it's great to have Dav Whatmore here is because in 2008, India won the Under-19 World Cup under the captaincy of a certain Virat Kohli, and in the studio, when we were watching the end of that innings, there was Kohli and Jadeja batting, who again was in that team. How have you seen him evolve over the years? The batting was always, the talent was always there. But this change from someone who was talented to an absolute champion, I think that is something we need to sort of talk about. Because suddenly, like Novak Djokovic perhaps, I think that's the right example, he suddenly threw a flick, and from a good player, he became a great player.
Well, the flick, in my mind, is very clear. The flick, when he turned the corner, was the discipline to lose weight. That's probably the hardest thing to do. When you're a Delhi boy who loves his food.
Chole Bhature.
Yeah, he loves his food, and he probably still does. But, to have the discipline, presence of mind to say, right, he looked himself in the mirror and said, that's just horrible, I've got to do something, and then go ahead and do it. That takes a lot of discipline, and that more than anything would screaming at me that he was absolutely focused and disciplined to make it as a cricketer, and the levels to which he will end up, is anybody's guess, but that was, to me, was the turning point.
Let's look at Kohli's wagon wheel, and at the end, when he walked off, he had the air of a happy person, a happy man,
satisfied,
content, not showing the usual emotion that we see. But what does this tell you? Let's look at where his runs are. On the offside, 10 and 2, 12, 36, 41 runs on the offside. And 70, how was that, 70 is it? No.
39, 49, 53, 60 odd, isn't it?
60 of them, yeah. 60 on the leg.
Yeah. But when you're playing on slower pitches, you'll find more of the runs square
of the wicket.
Yeah.
Which is what, 24 and 25, that's
Yep.
49, 49 and 5, 54, and 68 runs. Square of the wicket,
Yeah, so a lot of those 14s would have been ones down the ground.
On the ground, yeah.
Certainly the 5s would have been long singles down the ground. He's played it to perfection, really, when you look at the slowness of the pitch and the way it was turning. And he doesn't sweep, so they had the luxury of not worrying about having a sweeper down there for that shot. So he's done it really well.
Let's bring up Kohli's ODI numbers. Let's look at Virat Kohli's career numbers in one-day internationals. Remember, as we've been saying, he's equal the great Tendulkar. But there's an interesting stat to look at. I think Kohli gets to this in his 289th ODI. The great Sachin played 460 plus. The number of runs in sort of the innings taken to get to this mark is like one every 5. 1 every 5 for Kohli.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, I had a look at that graphic before, and I thought, gee, he's done it pretty quickly. And then I also saw Tendulkar's Test hundreds. It's a lot of Test hundreds as well. And it's going to that's his ODI
289
record.
matches.
Yeah.
4,970. 50, so that's about 120 times that he's contributing. He's also the master of the chase, and today is not the opportunity to talk about that. Today we're celebrating Virat Kohli, the magnificent batter.
So how many games did Sachin Tendulkar take?
463, 464.
So there's a big difference.
It's about 180, 150, 160 at least.
Huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah. So
But I think Tendulkar's longevity, also Tendulkar, I think the first 80 matches that he played was in the middle order. So we need to factor that in. I think his first 100 came when he was opening. I think it was in his 80th or perhaps sometime. We'll have to look at that. But the evening show will actually sort of make that comparison and look at these two great cricketers in detail.
I know we're talking ODI, but Tendulkar's Test match.
Let's bring up the other one. Let's look at that.
Whoa.
The international hundreds, the
Amazing.
most international hundreds. That has Tendulkar and Virat Kohli
59.
in the same one as well. The one we ran earlier on this broadcast. 51 over there for Sachin and 49. Kohli 49 and 29. But coming close, 78
in total,
in all.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than some really great batters we have seen, like Sangakkara, Ricky Ponting, who was on the commentary, Jacques Kallis, who you worked with at the Knight Riders as well.
A very impressive set of figures, all of them really. Gee, you know, Virat Kohli getting that in just 78, it's just amazing, really. You sort of forget about that until you come back to these statistics. Really good. Well done, son.